All right, this meeting will come to order. This is Erda City Council. Today is Tuesday, December 5th, 2023 at 7 p.m. This meeting is held at the Erda City office in the fire station located at 2163 West Erda Way, Erda, Utah 84074. This meeting is, are we going over Google and YouTube tonight? We'll start with a roll call. Scott Dubay
is here.
Craig Smith.
Here.
Jess Bird is here. We're going to excuse Kale
Martin. Happens to me twice a day, Jess.
Tonight, and Terry Miner. Here. So 4 out of 5 of us here tonight. Terry, would you lead our pledge today?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You. All right, go ahead and open up the meeting to public comment.
That's my cue.
That's your cue.
I'm just gonna sort of stand right here. Is that okay?
That's where you'll be standing.
Okay, I love it. So my name is Zell McAllister. I moved to the county 3 years ago, and I immediately got involved in animal rescue. I'm a volunteer at the Tooele City Shelter, and I'm a foster mom for senior dogs and a social media manager for rescue. I wanted to discuss a plan that I believe can significantly impact our community, consolidating our efforts into one regional animal shelter. Instead of having individual overwhelmed, overworked small local shelters, it would be more efficient to pool our resources and build a large, more efficient, centralized animal shelter for all of Tooele County. This is standard in many other counties. I'm currently in the process of talking to each city council in the county to garner support for this and taking it to the larger public before I take it to county council. The county will not fund or move forward if they do not see the need, and there is a need. The need for a county shelter is evident in several ways. The county is growing quickly, and the current system for handling strays, owner surrenders, feral cats, and bite cases is not sustainable. Erda's growing, Tooele is growing. More and more animals are ending up on the streets, thus posing a danger and a health risk. Animal welfare is in perpetual crisis nationwide as the number of stray and abandoned animals has skyrocketed. Tooele County is no exception. The animal overpopulation and euthanasia rates are up, and it's taking its emotional toll on all of us. The current county shelter is small, has limited resources, and Dr. Roundy may be looking to retire in the next decade. We will soon need a new and more sustainable solution as Erda grows. Tooele City Shelter is the only government animal facility in the county that has significant resources. This encourages people to lie about where they found strays to make sure the animals are getting into this facility. Tooele City Shelter is chronically full, chronically understaffed, and underfunded. The shelter there is over 20 years old and does not have the kennel space to keep up with the current population. The mayor's solution has been to cut animal intake, and this is not a long-term solution. The current system is not sustainable for our lovely county. We are seeking a centralized shelter to ensure the standard of care and policy is the same across the county, rather than each town having small facilities with different resources and levels of care and programs. This would be a centralized space for all strays in the county, adoptables, ferals, and bite cases. We could pool resources and have a facility that could keep up with the growing population of our county, while catering to the humane treatment of these animals and the mental health of the staff that care for them. Each life deserves a chance. A regional shelter fosters collaboration among our cities. We can learn from each other, share successful strategies, and work together to address the root causes of animal homelessness. The joint effort can lead to more effective adoption programs and community education, ultimately reducing the number of stray and abandoned animals in our region, thus keeping our citizens safer. In conclusion, I urge each member of this council to consider the advantages of consolidating our efforts into one regional animal shelter as we approach the county. By working together, we can create a stronger, more compassionate community for both our residents and the animals that depend on us. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Can we ask her a few questions? So how many animals do they have? Where do most of them come from? How many animals do you think we need to house if we, had the right facility?
That's a great question. I know currently the Tooele City Shelter has 20 dog kennels, and that is for adoptables, strays, and quarantine, meaning in for a bite. And that the county shelter, I believe, has 6 kennels, and Grantsville has, I believe, 6 as well. So I think a county facility would likely need to have upwards of 50 to be able to keep up with the amount of dogs and cats that are coming in. But right now, an animal found in Erda goes to Dr. Roundy's office, which is currently serving as the county shelters. And they don't really have the proper facilities to keep up. Neither does Grantsville. The police department is running the shelter out there, kind of when they have time, because they've got demanding, important full-time jobs. So it's sort of a problem that is getting increasingly bigger. If we don't start focusing on a solution, it's only going to get worse.
Do you have an idea what something like this would cost?
We do. So a fully functional and up-to-date shelter would cost around $8 million. So a hefty sum. But one that would definitely pay for itself in the long run, with reducing the number of strays and upping community education.
I wonder what each of these communities and counties currently paying to maintain these.
I know is ours.
What's that?
I know ours,
What do we pay?
0. We don't have one.
Yeah.
Well, the sheriff does our animal control.
It must
As
be
part
part
of-
of our, what we pay the sheriff.
It is.
Yeah, it goes to Dr. Roundy's office.
But also, dogs in Erda also go to the Tooele City Shelter. I know this for a fact because my dog wound up there.
Well, like
Really?
you said,
Oh, you shouldn't
a
have.
lot of people are taking them there because they know it's a place that will accept them, even though they're probably not supposed to accept them from outside of city.
Yeah, they're
limits.
supposed to be within city limits.
How long do you keep an animal at a shelter?
So by law, we're required to keep strays for up to 5 days. A lot of the bite cases, I don't know a lot about the legalities of that. But a stray animal is kept for 5 days, and if the owner does not come forward, then they are evaluated either for adoption or rescue. Some of our more troublesome animals we try to find rescue for. But we have been faced with euthanasia rates going up simply because we don't have space.
What I was saying was 0 was what we pay for animal control.
Yeah.
We pay the sheriff salary, but we do not have animal control. City.
We attempted to raise the surrender fee to $100 to discourage people from surrendering their animals, but then our stray intakes went up, so they were just
They just turn them loose.
turning them loose.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was counterproductive.
I see.
Yeah, thank you. Is there any
No,
other
thanks,
questions?
thanks for coming.
Thank you.
No, you're absolutely right.
We better ask. Any other public comment?
Oh, he's just my moral support.
I'm just the moral support.
I was thinking of Barbara.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you have something you wanted to say?
All right, I'm
Anybody online, Jen?
No, sir.
Okay.
move to close the public comment.
Second.
Moved and seconded, we close public comment. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right, then we will turn the time over to you for the general election canvas.
Okay. Members of the Erda City Council, it is my pleasure to give you the official results of the Erda City municipal elections. In total, we had 1,482 registered voters within the city of Erda. Ballots cast within the city of Erda was 663 total ballots cast, so a voter turnout total for this election of 44.74% as Erda as a whole. As far as specific municipal elections went, in District 1, we had 403 registered voters, but 167 turned out, so 41.44%. With a voting percent of Scott Drebay got 132 votes, Kevin Sessions got 31, so 80.98% went to Councilman Scott Drebay, and 19.2 went to. Yes, I will.
Congratulations, Scott. Good job.
Been handing out cash.
Good job. Candy? Tim?
So for District 3. So there's District 3.1 and District 3.2 technically. In District 3.1, there's 150 registered voters, 66% or 66 were turned in, so 44% in 3.1, and in 3.2, there were 334 registered voters, 142 ballots were cast, so a total of 42.52%. But with the total turnout being for in District 3, Clyde Christensen received 125 votes, and Jack or Buck Peck received 80 votes. So it was a 60.98% to 39.2%. So in favor of Clyde Christensen, who has been a member of the Planning Commission, will now move over to the Erda City Council. And I think he has done his replacement already for the Planning Commission. That is good. And then in District 5, we had a total of 595 registered voters and 288 turned out, so 48.8. So they had the highest percentage of turnout in District 5. We had 172 votes for Sheldon Birch and 114 for Mr. Keith Toon. So 60% for Sheldon Birch and 39.8 for Keith Toon. So Sheldon Birch being the final new elected member of the. Do you have any questions regarding?
How many total registered voters did you say? 1482.
Yes, we have. Sorry.
That's probably just for those 3 districts.
Yes, for those 3 districts, registered voters 1,482.
Do you know how many we got total for the city?
663 people voted for Erda City, like within Erda City. So we had 44.74% voter.
I just wondered if we knew how many registered voters the city has.
Total.
Not just
Yeah,
the
so that's
three
just
districts.
For all 5.
That's just for those 3 districts.
That's just for those 3 districts. I could get that number from Tracy, but that's just for those 3 districts. So that's just all that we need to certify. But she probably has the numbers because everyone was sent a ballot for the congressional vote. So she probably has the full number of it to make it.
I have a question, Jen.
Yeah.
You said that the one District 3 is 3.2 and one is 3.4 or something like that.
It's 3.1 and 3.2. So they're just.
How come it's not just District 3? What
They,
is
they split it one side of the highway and the other side of the highway. It's all one district, but there's a highway there that divides it. So they,
It's just how they track it, I think, for taxing purposes, because one side of the highway is taxed one way, one side is taxed another way, but it's all District 3. Any questions? Any other questions?
The only taxing difference is the west of Sheep Lane.
I'm not sure how Tracy splits it up. So the county is the one that splits it up and does those particular districts. So I could ask her why the 1 versus 2. We have that in another.
my district splits that same way and it's on the highway.
Okay. Any other questions?
No.
Okay,
Thank you.
so now it is up to the council to have a motion and a vote to whether or not they were going to certify the canvas for this municipal.
Well, I'll move that we certify the canvas as explained to us by Jan,
second?
reported by Jan.
Been moved and seconded that we certify this canvas. Any last minute discussion? Proceed to a roll call vote. Terry, how do you vote?
Yes.
Jess votes yes. Craig
Yes.
and Scott.
Yes.
Got 4 votes and the motion passes. Right, proposed ordinance 23-13, adding Erda City Code Section 1-4-2 Ethics Pledge and Statement. Um, Basically, we adopt this tonight. Each year, all persons holding office or in the employment of Erda before commencing the duties of their respective offices and annually thereafter shall read, sign, and file annually the ethics behavior pledge in a form provided by the city. I'm prepared to read the form if you would like me to.
Yeah, would you?
Okay. I, insert name here, am an employee or elected official, or I'm sorry, employee or elected / appointed official of Erda in the capacity of enter title here. I pledge to adhere to the code of ethics as approved by the Erda Council. These topics include, but are not limited to, improper use of official position, accepting gifts or loans, disclosing privileged information, retaining a financial or beneficial interest in a transaction, nepotism, misuse of public resources or property, outside employment, political activity, fair and equal treatment, and conduct after leaving office or employment. Additionally, I pledge to disclose all conflicts of interest on the conflict of interest disclosure form. I understand that Utah state statute stipulates penalties for violation of specific unethical behavior. Signing this document verifies that I have been provided time to read applicable statuses and ordinances, as well as the Erda Code of Ethics. Did anybody catch a red flag in there?
So,
I think it's
Do we have that?
mostly state mandated anyways.
do we have that written up though, that code of ethics?
Yeah, this is, was provided to us by John today. But I don't know about the outside employment section.
That,
Everybody here is gonna have outside employment outside of the city.
Right.
So I don't know if we strike that or.
Read that part again.
It's part of a long list, so I pledge to adhere to the code of ethics as approved by Erda City Council. These topics include, but are not limited to, improper use of official position, et cetera, outside employment.
I guess I don't follow what that means.
I'm not entirely sure. I think it's saying, you can't use specific information you've gained from the city in your outside employment. I think that's what it's
That
saying.
would make more sense. Because it also says political activity, fair and equal treatment. We can't use one to benefit the other, I guess.
So like if we knew a road or something was coming, we can't go to, if we had a job that relates to that on the outside and say, hey, get ready for this coming or do this.
Yeah, you're the only one old enough here to remember, besides me, certain county commissioner that always seemed to have the right property, at just the right time. So maybe that's where we're headed with that.
Yeah. All right, I'm good with that.
I think it could be,
Any time we can change it, like, we could even create.
I think it could be worded better, but I don't have a issue with it.
I move that we adopt ordinance 23-13.
Second.
Then moved and seconded that we adopt this ordinance. Any further discussion? Terry, how do you vote?
Yes.
Jess votes yes. Greg
Yes.
and Scott.
Yes.
We have 4 votes and the motion passes. Community Development Block Grant. This grant money must be spent on projects benefiting primarily low and moderate income persons. The Wasatch Front Regional Council, in which Erda City is a member, is expecting to receive approximately $1 million. All eligible activities that can be accomplished under this program are identified in the CDBG application policies and procedures manual and interested persons can review it at any time. And we have a public hearing to both open and close tonight. Just want to make a couple of points here. One is that the $1 million is going to the Wasatch Front Regional Council, not the city directly. We're just a member of that group, as it says here. And then also, this grant money must be spent on projects benefiting primarily low and moderate income persons, which would be a minority in Erda. And so we're here to come up with ideas on what we might be able to use this grant money on and try to put that into application. So I'll move that we open this.
So let's discuss it a little bit first, so we know what anyone's here might. Is this the stuff that Rochelle sent us?
Well, no, that's a different one.
That's a different one.
That's a second grant. That's a different grant.
So
This
that,
is a grant, that's made for rural communities, things like that, to help with public infrastructure. Like if they need to update their water or their sewer, they need to update certain parts of there, but they just don't have the money to do so. When I went to the training on the application, I said, can it be used for roads? To help update with roads, and she said, yeah, that qualifies. I said, okay. And so I have interest in pursuing this particular grant to help the entirety of the community of Erda to update Erda Way in front of Excelsior heading towards Highway 36. So that was the intent of being with this grant and why I've been pursuing going forward and things like that. So, but you have to have a public hearing to discuss other options that the community might want to propose that might benefit other parts of the community. But it's mostly for public infrastructure or updating public infrastructure. Or it did say things like homeless shelters, animal shelters was on the list. I like those. Actually, but other those kinds of community facilities that rural communities might not be able
So
to
that'd
see.
fit in with the benefiting primary low and moderate income persons?
So, because in my conversations with the lady who's helping me with the grant, she works for the Wasatch Front Regional Council. Because it benefits the city as a whole, I have to do a percentage of income-based surveys throughout the community. So I got a residential mailing list for all residents in the city of Erda, and then do a randomized list from that. And then I need to do so many surveys off that randomized list to see if it fits the threshold. I believe of 50% or less of those surveys need to come back moderate to low income. So we may or may not qualify based on how the randomized survey works.
but if we don't do this, we definitely don't qualify.
Exactly. If we don't go through this process, then we definitely don't. So in this particular grant, you can receive up to $300,000 depending on how they choose to dole out the money for the grants throughout the year, depending on how many people applied, things like that. If the project is more extensive, you could try and get the grant over 2 consecutive years, and you could get $200,000 2 years in a row, so $400,000 over a split time period. In the initial estimate that I got back from Jake with the civil engineer, as far as I forwarded it on to you and Michelle to look over it. He's bidding it about to be, it's like $170,000 to update and to expand that part of Erda Way.
I didn't know that.
Just
Yeah.
put one turn lane in for a very short distance, about $170,000.
Yeah.
But there's a problem, kind of what's happening now when they extended that. Now people are parking there, walking across Erda Way, getting their kids and then walking back. So I was almost thinking we almost have to do the opposite, but no parking, no standing type thing right there on the north side of Erda Way.
And that can be something that we can look into, like as we widen it, because from the schematics that I saw from Jake's plan, it was to continue the middle lane and then to continue a right hand to give more space, and then Joe
Why?
White is going to be putting in Excelsior Way in the spring, and so they're supposed to be queuing off of Excelsior Way. This is to help mitigate and get everybody off Erda Way and onto Excelsior
Well,
Way.
what they're doing now does that really well.
Yeah.
But what happens now is the people that are turning in, the people that want to go around, there's no room because people are parking here. So,
People are parking on that side, on the north side of the road.
yeah,
Yeah, that's why they're wanting to widen and put a left-hand turn lane in.
So that was just part of what I thought might be beneficial to the city of Erda. I thought I'd walk down this road and see how far we could go.
well, I'm sure that's why they did it this time too, why they widened that so people could go around. But like I said, they're parking there instead of leaving that for the people to go around.
But the point of the public hearing is so that the public can give other options or ideas and things that might be interesting to benefits. But that was the purpose of me going forward to help see if it could fund the widening of Erda. Because we don't really have any public infrastructure to. So,
Unless we end up with a dog shelter or an animal shelter.
That's kind of for the county.
So in the
But this-
future, to perhaps help, because there's no matching funds required for this particular grant. So you either get it or you don't. You
So-
could have matching funds as part of your applications, make your application look better, but it's certainly not required for this.
Can you split the funds, like say this goes to roads and this will go to like an animal shelter type thing?
I could ask, I have another Zoom meeting with her on Monday. But I could say, I mean, that could be part of the application, or that could be part of the application next year. This is a yearly application, so we could do this consecutively and say, okay, can this community get this much to go towards an animal shelter? But yeah. That's something that I could look into and talk to her about.
And while you're asking about buying land,
Buying land?
the city owns fully.
So you're talking about
Private
buying
right
from
of way?
right across the road where they park.
Or anywhere. So we got something that we can say, okay, we're gonna put this here, we're gonna do this here, or we're gonna do this, or
I see.
invite our Texas Roadhouse, say, hey, we got so many acres over here, we can sell you for our Texas Roadhouse.
Well, all right, with that explanation, I will move to open the public hearing.
Second.
And moved in second, we open public hearing. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, time is now yours.
This is interesting. Michael Jensen, Erda. Thanks, Craig, for having some discussion first, because I think a lot of us didn't know this was an option. And as I'm sitting here listening to this and some of what Terry's bringing up with Excelsior, my mind popped to Bates Canyon and the west side of Bates Canyon, where we have a new junior high going in, and we have a high school, and we have an elementary school not far to the east of the two bigger schools, and extremely limited walkways or safe walkways for kids. It made me think of the cross country and track team that I see run past my house almost on a daily basis, and cringe at the thought of them coming across the highway 2 times a day to get there. I don't have a solution other than if I just really, and no offense to the idea of expanding for Excelsior, but I really cringe at the thought of taking what it ultimately is tax dollars to help Excelsior and not consider other needs we have, because Bates can't, I mean, if you think Erda Way's bad, which I know it is, Bates Canyon is equally as bad, if not worse, and going to get worse exponentially with that junior high. So I would encourage some real thought with that, with our roads, going forward. Because I know that when my wife was on the school board and the Perry development went in, there's not a safe walking path for those kids to get from that neighborhood to the junior or to the elementary school. So we're busing kids that could easily walk because there's not, quote unquote, a safe walking route for them. And if we're looking at ways of utilizing our tax dollars efficiently and making the most use of them, are we really thinking through developments, thinking through what we ask of developers as they come, or people building charter schools, which are really not private schools, they're public schools. You know, are we asking them to do what's necessary to not impact negatively, which they have right away significantly, because I know we've heard that time and time again from people that live in that area, that it's just a huge nuisance. So that's my 2 cents of this. I think it's great. I would also say, Terry brings up buying land. My first thought is space for parks. I mean, can't, because going forward, our green space needs to be parks, not front yards and backyards. Limited space, we need to use it for group areas because we have limited water resources. And what a great place for, I mean, you want to talk about lower to moderate income and a place for people to go utilize, I think that would be a great utilization of that resource as well. And you know, land's not getting cheaper, so yeah, I think that'd be a great question. Can it be used to buy land for something such as a park? That's my 2 cents. Thanks.
I'm not an Erda citizen, so feel free to be like, you be quiet. But building off of that, you could find ways to use it to prepare for future growth. Like if you know a school is going in somewhere, prepare that area so that an Erda way situation doesn't occur again. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm much more comfortable handling aggressive dogs in politics. But for a county shelter, I guess what I'm seeking is the city support for that county shelter. So I'm not sure if a grant could be used for that unless the county is on board. But I'm just here for the dogs. But I believe that if the county is on board with it, then possibly the grant could be used to go towards a county shelter. But again, I don't know the communication between Erda City and to the county as far as that goes. I do know that a county shelter would probably, likely mean a tax increase for Erda citizens to go towards that shelter. But yeah, I think finding ways to use that grant to prepare for inevitable growth, to avoid future situations like that. But again, I live in Tamilla, so I'll be over here.
Thank you.
Any raised hands online? I'll move to close the public hearing.
I'll second.
We moved and seconded, we close public hearing. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Right. Hearing is now closed. We just did these, but they are on the agenda, so council representative reports. Anything to add there?
Have anything?
The Got one, can't get out without one. In talking with a member of SPID recently, uh, it has come to their attention that with the continued growth in the valley, if they let people hook on like they had originally thought and planned, that they're going to outgrow their system and it's going to cost $44 million to upgrade it. So in saying that, their intention is to downsize the sewer lines that feed Ochre Point and Sunset Acres and cut off all future annexations into SPID and services provided by SPID. They figure they have enough for 9,000 units. If they service Ochre Point, Copper Cove, Sunset Acres, and Majestic View, that only leaves them a certain amount of growth for Stansbury Park. And so they want to bring those line sizes down and not serve anywhere else in Erda at this time. Because once they cross that threshold, they'll have to have $44 million in upgrades, and they do not want to do that. So there'll be a change in that water, or both the water and the sewer lines that we're going to serve Ochre Point. They'll be smaller than originally envisioned. And that's my only report.
Any others? General comments?
Unless we want to talk about the UIPA again.
YPA.
Well, that comes right from a report or a comment.
So Terry and I went to the, what do we call that? The
Inland
inland
Port
port,
Authority.
inland ports. And I don't know, there was opportunity for public input, but not really. This was the committee meeting that they were having to discuss and pass the resolutions to have part of it here and part of it in Grantsville. Anyway, I don't think that there was much give there about where they might put it or.
Well, they had a vote on it, and the vote was approved. So
Mm.
20 wells and the
I'm sure.
Twilla Valley one is approved. And also the other thing is one of the people in his speaking wants to have them put some pressure on to have the Mid-Valley Highway prioritized.
Yeah,
So
yeah, to try and get funding moved forward.
move it into the funding stage instead
Yeah.
of the pretend stage.
And I think that's a good idea. The meeting on the county road meeting that they had a month ago, I was at, I think it was Colin Winchester said that, that UDOT had said they're, agreeable to moving ahead with phase 3 before phase 2, which I had never heard that before, but I would be in favor of that also.
Well, that's what the Tula City wants as well.
Yeah, it's a significant problem for Twila City.
Which I think phase 3 is like taking it from 1,000 north and then around and then up to 36 instead of the Erda to
Yeah,
1,000. So
yeah,
I told them we could go to phase 12 if they wanted as far as the Erda.
yeah, yeah. Let's get busy on somewhere else. Yeah, I'm in favor of that. So, let's see. There was one comment there that I think just nobody paid attention to that I was in favor of. That the director of our hospital here has lived in a lot of places, and he discussed the problem of more pollution. He has lung cancer, and he's never smoked in his life. It's all come from pollution, and he's lived at several places around Utah. And he said that's going to be a problem. And he said, "Why don't you move it farther west?" And nobody batted an eye. Yep. I would have been in favor of that.
The ink was already dry.
Yeah. Yeah, so I have some thoughts on that that probably is not what we would discuss in an open meeting, but I'll mention it to a few of you or all of you on a different occasion. A direction I think Erda should try and take.
Sounds good. Any other general comments? Thank you all for coming and for your input.
Well, I'll move we adjourn.
Second. Been moved and seconded. We adjourn this meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Meeting adjourned.
You never did tell me who Jake thought was gonna be the guy for Max, the same guy. I was thinking. No, about that.
Or I can hear you.